Namaste, everybody, and welcome back. We will go through the Sloka 7 today. The first time Shankaracharya is talking about the svarūpam of Devi. So this is a very, very special sloka. But before that, let's do a quick meditation. Everybody sit tall with head, neck, and trunk in a straight line. Bring your attention to the middle of your heart. Be in the present moment. Don't worry about what happened before. Don't think about what's going to happen after. Just think about that your attention is fully present here and now. And we'll do 3 deep breaths. Inhale deep. Exhale completely and relax your body. Inhale deep. Exhale and relax your thoughts. And inhale deep one more time. Exhale and relax your emotions. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. Welcome back, everybody. We will go through the sloka 7 of Soundarya Lahari today. So far, we have seen all the different swabhavam of Devi. So the mahima, I shouldn't say simple swabhavam, but the mahima of the Devi has been detailedly explained in the past 6 slokas. And he didn't mention anything about what does this Devi that we are talking here look like. There was one mention in Todanya Panibhyam slokam that Devi is not holding the 2 mudra, Varadam and Abhayam. Those 2 mudra, Devi is not holding. That was mentioned. But then what is Devi holding? That was not mentioned. So that is where we are going into today in detail on how does Devi look like and what is she holding. And when we talk about Devi, we are not talking about Parvati, Gauri, Lakshmi, that the one Devata. We talked very detailed on what is the difference between a Devata and Ishvara. So that is where you have to say it is not a Devata. Shankaracharya is talking here. Shankaracharya is talking about the Parashakti, which is the same Parabrahma Mahishi of Shiva. So that Parashakti is what is referred here. Then the question will be, will a Parashakti or Parabrahma will have a Rupam? No, it doesn't have a Rupam. It's Rupatitam, it's Gunatitam, it's Namatitam. But then in order for our mind to conceive that Parabrahman, we cannot pray or meditate on anything that doesn't have a Rupam. So that is why we, Shankaracharya or our rishis have given a Rupam to this Devata. So this is again not to consider this as a Devata. This is actually the synonym of Parabrahma. That's what we are talking here. And this is Tripura Sundari. Tripura Sundari is the one that is mentioned here with Svarūpam. So let's chant first and then we will look into the meaning. So here the sloka 7 is the vision of the Divine Mother. Kwanat Kanji Dama Kari Kalabha Kumbhas Tananada Parikshina Madhye Parinata Sharat Chandravadana Dhanurbanan Pasham Srinimapi Dadhana Karatalai Purastadastam na Puramatitu Aho Purushika. Some of them, let's divide the words. Kwanat Kanji Dama, it's straightforward. Karikalapa Kumbhastana Nada, Parikshina Madhye, Parinata Sharat Chandra Vadana. That is Parinata Sharat Chandra Vadana. Dhanu and Banan. Banam is arrow. Banan is plural. That is multiple arrows. Pasham Srinimapi Dadhana Karatalai Purastad Astam. That is, that combined becomes purastadastam na puramathitu aho purushika becomes puramathitu raho purushika. Okay, let's go the word meeting and then we go into the deeper meaning. So the first is Kwanat Kanji Dama. Kwanat means tinkling, that is jingling. And Kanji Dama is the waistband. So the mother is wearing Odhyanam and that is doing Kwanat, that is jingling. And Kari Kalapa Kumbhastana Nada. Kari and Kalapa means baby elephant. Baby elephant's kumbha, it is the frontal lobe of the head of the baby elephant. And that is what is resembling what? Stana Nada. Stana is the breast of Devi, is resembling the frontal lobe of a baby elephant. And it is nata. Nata is actually a little bent forward. Because of the weight of the stana, she is slightly bent forward. Parikshina madhye. Madhye here means tanu madhye, meaning the body's madhyam. Madhyam means the middle. Middle is parikshina. Parikshina means slender, like thin. So the her middle of the body, which is the near the waist region, is actually very slender. Middle is like a figure eight. Its the middle is very thin. Then is talking about Parinata Sharat Chandra Vadana. Parinata means transformed, fully transformed. Sharat Chandran, Sharat Kalam, Sharat Ritu, the season is what Sharat is. So that Sharat autumn moon, Chandran is moon. That autumn moon's Chandran is how her face is. Her face is glowing like a Purna Chandran or the full moon of a Sharat Ritu. Dhanur Banan Pasham, and what is she holding? So first one on her one hand is Dhanu. Dhanu is the bow. Dhanur Banan. Bana means arrow. Banan is arrows. There are 5 arrows made of flowers. We saw that in the earlier verse for Kamadeva. And Pasham. Pasham is the rope or noose. Srinimapi. Srini is Ankusham. Ankusham is the goad that is used to control the elephant. Api here means all these things are there. Dathana is carrying or holding. Karatalai in her hand. Purastad astamna. Purastad means in front of us and astam manifest. Na here, naha is actually us, showing the plural. So it's a prayer. It's actually doing the purast in front of us. Devi, you appear or you manifest in front of us. Not in front of us in a physically, it means in my heart, in my mind, in my Bodha Mandalam. So that is like a prayer. And what is Devi? She is the Puramathitu Raho Purushika. Puramathitan is Shiva, and Puramathitu means of Shiva. Of Shiva's, what is her? She is Shiva's Aho Purushika. Aho is actually the I-ness, or the pride of Shiva, and Purushika is the counterpart of Purusha. Purusha is the Brahman, the Shuddha Chaitanya. The Shiva is the Purusha, and Purushika is the counterpart of Shiva, is by here meant by Purushika. So Devi, pride of Shiva, you please appear in front of us. So Shankaracharya is doing a prayer, not for himself, but for all of us. So it's requesting Devi, is pleading Devi to appear in front of us in what Rupam is what all we talked about. So let's go a little bit more detail. So first of all, we said this is the prayer. This is a prayer that on behalf of all of us that Shankaracharya is making to Devi. Devi, please appear before us in our mind, in our heart, in our even in front of us, right? And in physical rupam as well. So that's a prayer where he's asking Devi to appear. Now, first starting with Kwanat Kanji Dama. So Kanchi is the Odhyanam. Kanchi, the one that is worn in the waist area. So that is actually doing the Kwanat. Kwanat is always jingling. So if you notice, anything with Devi is all about dynamism. We talked about a couple of things even before. So one of the thing was the Dhyana slogam on Devi that was saying Panipyam Alipurna Ratna Chashakam. So in her one hand, she's holding nectar, and that nectar is surrounded by the bees. So that bees is continuously making the movement, right? Like, so that is the dynamic component. And here, Shankaracharya is not in his view of Devi is not the one that is a vigraham that is sitting in a shrine or in a temple. So his concept of Devi is the one that is moving, breathing, living, that Chaitanyavat Devi. Right? So that Devi's Caitanyam, that dynamism of Devi is showing in so many different of the symbolism. So that Panipyam Alipurna, that Ali constantly moving around her hand is one of that dynamism. We're showing that this is life. This is that in Satchitananda Rupam, she's that Chit, she's the Chaitanyam, she's the one that is making everything happening, everything alive. So that is the one example. And then we also did see another dhyana slokam of Lauhitya Nirjita Japam that is usually chanted before Soundarya Lahari. That there was one line called Tambula Purida Mukhim, where she was chewing the tambulam. So you can imagine her doing the tambulam. There is a constant movement of the jaw of the mouth. That is another dynamism that is brought, where it is shown that Devi is not the one that is sitting there doing nothing in a vigraham looking at no, that's not how his view of the Devi is. His view of the Devi is a Chaitanya Pravaham. Even the name of Soundarya Lahari, right? Lahari is the Dhara, that Amritam is always flowing from Devi. That is how he's seeing it. It is not just one Rupam. It is that Rupam, even if when you are looking at the Rupam, that Rupam is actually flowing with Chaitanyam. And how do we show that? That is where he's using different symbolism here, particularly using that Kwanat Kanji Dama. That Kanji Damam is doing the Kwanat, right? It is tinkling always. And that bell is actually holding 51 bells, which is representing the 51 letters of alphabets. That's Aksharam, 51 Aksharam in Sanskrit. And also that is, we saw that 51 is a big significance in Shaktiya Sambradayam, and also see that we have 51 Shakti Pithas. So these are all coming together in that Kwanat Kanji Dhamma. So her Kanchi has 51 bells, which is constantly doing that movement. And that is showing that we saw that in the first stanza, first verse itself, right? She's doing the spandana. So Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadhipavati Shakta Prabhavidum Nache Devan Devo Nakalu Kushala Spantidumabi. So in order to even to do a spandanam, Shiva needed Shakti. So that is her. She is the one. She is making the movement, the dynamism, the spandanam. She is all that. The chalanam. She is that. So that is where that Kwanat Kanchi Dhamma comes from. And then the next one is Karikalapa Kumbhas Tananada. Karikalapam. Here there is two ways to look at it. One is the beauty of a woman is depicted in those granthas as represented by the full breast. More than that we saw that in that same Sindurarana Vigraham, we saw that Apina Vakshoruham. So she's holding the Ksheerasagaram in her chest, right? So that is the exact same thing here also, right? She's the Jagan Mata. So in order to take care of all her children, she has to nourish all of them. So in order to do that, she has to have a full breast. So that is what the two representation of the Karikalapa Kumpastananada, and that is bent a little forward as if it is because of the weight of the breast, she's moving a little bit forward. So that's what it's showing, Karikalapa Kumpastananada. Then the next one is Parikshina Madhye, in the middle, showing the slender waist. And that is, if you look into that svarūpam, there is the sternum area is wide. Below the waist is also wide, but then the middle portion is actually slender. So it forms the figure 8, and that is also showing the infinity, Satchidananda we have. The next one is showing Parinada Sharat Chandra Vadana. So Charat Chandran, based on the lunar calendar and also in solar calendar that is followed in India, there are 6 ritus. Ritu will have 2 months. So Sharat Chandram, Sharat Ritu considered the 2 months, which is the Ashwina Masam, Ashwina month, as well as I think it's Kartika, Ashwina and Kartika. So these are the 2 months that's considered Sharat Chandran. And the Sharat Ritu comes after the Varsha Ritu, which is the monsoon season. So after the monsoon, the sky is very clear. Sky is very clear, and the moon is kind of spotless. It's the most beautiful moon. The full moon you can see is during that Sharat Ritu. So it comes around October November time frame, and it is a beautiful season anyway. Like with all the Navratri, all the festivals that come during that time, October November, right? Diwali, Navratri. So it is the moon during that time. And if you know, like we also talk about how old people are, like it's based on the how many moons that they have seen, right? The one when people turn into, I think, about 81 years, that we celebrate called something called Shatabhishekam, which is once that they have seen Sahasra full moon, 1,000 full moons, that once somebody has seen, that is when celebrate the Shatabhishekam of a person. So it is because that like many in India, it is our time is based on the lunar calendar. I think in Kerala it is used solar calendar. It's based on Nyatuvela, but most of the North India and other states go by the lunar calendar. And Parinada is fully transformed Chandra. And each Chandra, when you are going from a waxing to waning or waning to waxing, that the crescent shape is called the Kala. So if you look, there are 15 kalas, and 16th is called the Nitya. So during that full moon, whatever that the Sharat Kalam, the full moon time, and this year, mark the calendar, it is October 25. I just checked. So everybody make sure that you all see that. And not only there's just that one full moon, but all the full moon. Then only we are eligible to see that 1,000 full moon when we are 81. So make sure that you see the full moon of every, I think there are 12 remaining this year. So make sure you see all of them. The next one is February 1. Anyway, the full moon of the Sharat Ritu is what is mentioned here. And if you look, it is not, we talked about that dynamism that's coming from the Kwanat sound of the kanji. Here also, if you look that Parinada Sharachandra, if you are outside ever to see a full moon, you can see that you are actually drenched in the moonlight, that you can feel that the moonlight is poured on you, right? Moon is also considered the symbol of mind, and also moon is known as Amritam. It is showering Amritam. And if you are ever out in moon, you can feel that Amritam is actually doing, the flow of Amritam is coming from moon. And that's also here, even though it is representing her Vadanam. But what Shankaracharya meant is that just like from a full moon, that Amrita Varsham is happening, that same thing is happening from her face. Because her face is Caitanyam. It is full of Caitanyam, that is doing the dhara, that is doing the pravaham, that's the flow of Caitanyam from her, just like the flow of Caitanyam flow of Amritam that is coming from moon. So I think there is, during that Sharat Purnima, it is not there in Kerala, but I heard there is a festival that is in North, where women actually make kheer outside in full moon, and that is considered to be having medicinal quantity. Of course, this is prasadam that they prepare outside moon. It's a kheer, the milk pudding that's prepared, because Chandran is supposed to have that Amrita medicinal quality, and also say that all the the Ayurvedic the plants that they get their medicinal quality from moon. That is what is also told. So the moon is a symbol of a lot of things here. So it is that Amrita Pravaham that is coming from the face, that is emerging from the face of Devi. And again, that's not one time, that's constantly flowing. That is where the other dynamism of Devi that is shown here by Śaṅkarācārya. So then about what she's holding in her four hands. So the first one on the left lower side, she's holding a dhanu made of sugarcane. So sugarcane bow, and then string of bees is the string of bow. So that is how that bow is. And then this arrows are made of 5 flowers. And that dhanu is also that sugarcane bow represents our mind. And the Banam, that's 5 of them, Panjabanam. Panjabanam represents the Pancha Tanmatra. So if you might remember when we talked about initially how the Prapancham is formed, we talked about that there is Shuddha Caitanyam, and Shuddha Caitanyam, the Shiva Shakti. And from that Shiva Shakti, Shuddha Caitanyam, the vibration happens because of Shakti, the Spandana happens. And from that Spandana, the sound happens. And from that sound vibration, the energy change into matter, and that matter processes in multiple stages. And that stage where the matter is like very loosely created matter is Akasham, and then Vayu, then Agni, then Jalam, then Prithvi. So those are the Panchabhudam is created, and everything that we see in this Prapancham is created of that Panchabhudam. So that is kind of the process explained. So in that process, the Panchabhuta formed, the predecessor of that Panchabhuta is called Pancha Tanmatra. Pancha Tanmatra is that each of these has a Tanmatra representation. For example, Akasham is associated with the sound element of it. And the sound, you know, that Shabdam, it is associated with ear. And sparsham is indriyam is skin, and it is associated with the Panchabhudam, Vayu. Then Rupam is the Indriyam is eye. Rupam is associated with the Panchabhudam Agni. Then Rasam is water associated with our tongue. And finally, the Gantham, our Indriya is nose associated with the Panchabhudam Prithvi. So this Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandham, that is the five Panchatanmatra. That's what is represented by what Devi is holding 5 arrows. Then is the Pasham. Pasham and Srini, I don't think we have to talk a lot, but when we talked about Taniyamsam Pamsum, that sloka, we talked a lot about Pasham and Srini. That is actually representing the attachment, and Ankusham is at Srini, which means Ankusham, is representing the Dvesham. So Raga Dvesham, the attachment and aversion, is what is represented by the Pasham and Srini, or Pasham and Ankusham. So what here is means is that Pasham, for every jiva that is connected to this Prapancham, this Pasham is the one that is connecting us to this Prapancham. So that attachment, and the way that we all have that that attraction, repulsion forces there, the attachment, aversion, we all have. So, but we talked about that we should have, we should act in a way that it is not against dharma. And who is controlling all that thing? Devi is the one who is controlling all that, just to make sure that we are within the limits. That if we and how is she doing that? Because if we do anything against dharma, we do the adharma, there will be something consequences. So then we learn from that. So the life is all about learning and correcting and moving finally towards the enlightenment. So it is just that, of course, we have to live our life. We will have the likes and dislikes, but we have to do this in a dharmic way. And then once we are beyond all these things, then she will pull us towards her to get that enlightenment. So that is the Pasham and Ankusham is showing that an attachment and aversion. So Dadana Karatale means in her hand she's holding those four elements. Purastad Dastamna, it's actually Purastad in front of us. And Astam is manifest or appear. Na means all of us. In front of all of us, please, Devi, you appear. And what is she being addressed as? Pura Mathitu Raho Purushika. She's that I-ness of the Shiva. She's the pride of that Shiva. When we are talking about Shiva and Shakti, in many places we mentioned that Shiva Shakti are not two different things. It's actually the Ardhanarishwara is the two aspects of the exact same thing, just like the heat and the Agni, or the cold and the snow. It's the same thing, right? But in order for us to understand is what we are using that Shiva and Shakti. But here Shiva, when we are talking as a two different aspect, Shiva is the prakasha, the self-luminous Shuddha Caitanyam is what Shiva. And in order for Shiva to see what Shiva is, he needed a mirror. And that mirror is the Vimarsha. That Vimarsha is what Devi is. So they are the same. So even when you are looking into the mirror, you are seeing the same person. It is not a different person. So that is where that Tadatmyam, that Advaitam that's coming in. Shiva and Shakti are not two different things. It's the same, but only if Shiva wants to know what he is, what the I is, then he needs to see it by the action of Devi, which is the Vimarsha. So Shiva is known as the Prakasha and Devi is the Vimarsha. So the Aho is actually showing that I-ness, the pride, not the arrogance part, but we are talking about the I as in the self of Shiva. So because if you think about the Shiva's Sankalpam, that is Shuddha Chaitanya, which is not moving, which is Nirguna, Nirakara. It's almost like an inert thing. So in order for that, in order for that inert thing to see what it is, that is where, because of that Icha Shakti of that Parabrahman, actually the Shakti is creating the entire universe. And that entire universe, it's actually within that universe, within that prapancham, when she's doing that lashyam to create the prapancham, he's in the middle. He's always in the middle of that prapancham. So that's spirituality is all about us going back to recognizing we as that Shiva, we as that Suddha Chaitanya, we as that Brahman or that pure consciousness. So here it is saying that she is represented as Aho Purushika, the Purushika, that it is showing that equality with the Purusha. So Purushika is the counterpart of the Purusha, which is the same as Purusha. The I-ness of the Purusha is what is represented here with the word Aho Purushika. Now, there is another word that is used here as Pura Madhitu. Pura Madhi, you have heard the word Pura Ripu before. That is representing Shiva. And there is a story associated with it. Maybe we'll talk about that story later, but maybe I'll just talk about the tattvam behind the story. So Pura Madhitu or Pura Ripu actually says that because Shiva destroyed the three cities, that is how he received the name Pura Ripu or Pura Madhitu. The three cities, the story is all about Tarakasura's three sons as demons, but what it means is that that Tripura that Shiva destroyed is actually the Trivargatmaka that is within us, three shariram, right? Like Stula, Sukshma, Karana Shariram. So once we are beyond this Stula, Sukshma, Karana Shariram, we are Shuddha Paramatma. So that is, so Shiva destroyed these three levels so that we recognize that we are that Shuddha Chaitanyam. Or it is also represented as Bhuva, Swa. So Bhulogam is the word that the physical plane, and Bhuva is like the mental plane, and Swar is even the bigger plane. So all these three different planes that when we destroy what we think what we are, then we reach that Parabrahmam. So that is where that's what is used as a Pura Mathitur, and the same thing is previously we used as a Pura Ripu. I might send the story later to you. And again, the first one, if we take that Kanchi, right, it is here. Shankaracharya, even though it is used as a kanchi, as an odhyanam, but it is the representation here is also could be the Kanchi Kamakshi temple where that Devi, because that exact Devi is the one that is holding Dhanurbana and Pasham and Srini. So she's holding those four. So it could be that. But Shankaracharya's genius is that where he doesn't stay with one rupam. He remember that 97 verse where we started with that in our first session, where we said Gira Mahur Devi Druhina Grihini Magama Vido Hare Patnim Patmam Hara Sahajari Madritanayam Turiya Kapitvam Duradigamanisiva Mahima. So where he's saying that you may be called Parvati or Saraswati or Lakshmi as a Devata, but I know that you are not the three, not just the three, but you are Turiya Kapitam. You are beyond that three. So that is where here it is said that it is a representation, not just a Devata with a Gunam. The Parabrahma Swarupini is what is used here. It is the Brahman itself is what is used in, even though it is showing the Rupam, because again, there is no Namam, there is no Rupam, there is no Gunam for the Parabrahman. But in order for us to meditate on, right, that is why this is used. And all that, the dynamism, it helps us so much, especially our mind is the one that goes so much, it's a monkey mind, right? It goes from one thought to the other thought. It's so moves so much. So especially when for meditating that, that Kwanat Kanchidam, if you can close your eyes and think of that bell, that jingling bells in her Odhyanam, that actually can give so much of that holding into that Rupam rather than just looking into a Swarupam that is not moving. So same thing, Tambula Puri the Mukhi, sir, chewing of that tambulam, her constant, when you close your eyes, you can feel that constant chewing of the mouth movement, that you can keep that vigraham in your mind longer if that has a dynamic element to it. So Shankaracharya is thinking from all different sides to make sure that we have that swarupam that we could actually do a meditation on. So that's her Swarupam. There is equal lines that you can see in Lalita Sahasranamam also. Especially the face, there is something called Sharat Chandra Nibhanana, face, the moon representation. And the same thing about the four upadhis that she's holding. The line was Raga Swarupa Pashatya Krodha Karankushojwala Mano Rupekshukodanta Panchatanmatra Sayaka. So Raga Swarupa Pashatya. Raga, or the attraction, is the Pasham. Krodha Karankushojwala. Krodha, or the aversion, is the Ankusham or Srini. Mano Rupekshu Kodanta. Kodanta is actually the bow that is representing Manas, the mind. Pancha Tanmatra Sayaka. Sayaka is arrows. The arrows represented the Pancha Tanmatra. 5 Tanmatra is the 5 Indriyas that we have. And that is represented to the Panchabhuta, that is also connected to the Panchabhuta. Soundarya Lahari is the same as Lalita Sahasranamam, but shown as 100 different verses, that's all. So yeah, that is what the Devi Swarupam is. I want to use this as a Rupa Dhyanam. If you can all close your eyes and visualize the Devi in this Swarupam. So closing your eyes. Kwanat Kanchi Dama. So feel the jingling of her Odhyanam. Karikallabha Kumbhastananada. She's having a full breast that is resembling a frontal face of a baby elephant. Parikshina Madhye, she has a very slender waist. Parinata Sharat Chandravadana. Her face is glowing like a full moon. Dhanurbanan Pasham. So in her one hand, on left bottom hand, she has Dhanu, which is the sugarcane bow. And Bana, she has 5 flowers as an arrow in her lower right hand. And in the upper hand, she has Pasham, Srinimapi, that the other hand has Ankusham, Dadhana Karatalai. So see that 4 things that she's holding, the bow, the arrow, the Pasham, and Ankusham. Purastadastamna Puramatidu Raho Purushika. Devi, you as a Shiva's pride of Shiva or counterpart of Shiva, Devi, please appear in front of us, in our mind, in our heart. Just keep that Devi svarūpam in your mind. Very good. So now we can actually go into the sadhana. So let's sit tall. Please chant with me. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Vakratundha Mahakaya, Suryakoti Samaprabha, Nirvikhnam Kuru Me Deva, Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Let's do the dhyanam. Sinduraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Taranayaka Shekharam Smidamukhi Abhinavakshoruham Panibhyam Alipurna Ritnachashakam Rektolpalam Vipratim Saumyam Ritnaghatastharaktacharanam Dhyayet Param Ampikam. Let's do a quick Manasa Puja. Let's offer everything I believe that I am unto you. I am merging all these tattvams, all these Panchabhuta tattvam to you so that I recognize myself as Shuddha Caitanyam and Ishvara. So the first, I am offering Jalam, the Jala tattvam, representing the Jala tattvam in me unto you. I am offering Gandha, sandal paste, representing Prithvi tattvam to you. I am offering Pushpam, flower, representing the Akasha tattvam to you. I am offering Dhupam, incense, representing Vayu tattvam to you. I am offering Deepam, the lamp, the light, representing Agni tattvam unto you. Finally, I am offering Naivedyam, food that's representing Prana to you. When I offer all these to you, what is remaining in me is that Shuddha Caitanyam, which I am feeling like the flow of that Kiranam from Chandra, the full moon, as the full moon is radiating its rays, I am feeling that Shuddha Caitanyam in me. Very good. With that, we will chant the slokas, starting with number 1. Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum Na Devam Devo Na Khalu Kushalas Panditumapi Adastvamadhyam Harihara Virinjadipirapi Pranamtum Stotum Va Kathamakrita Punya Prabhavati. तनीयां सम्पांसुं तव चरणपङ्केरुहभवं विरिञ्चिः सञ्चिन्वन् विरचयति लोकानविकलम् वहत्येनं शौरी कथमपि सहस्रेण शिरसां हरः संक्षुत्यैनं भजति पसितोद्धूलनविधिम् अविद्यानामन्ततिमिरमिहिरद्वीपनगरी जडानां चैतन्य तपगमकरन्तश्रुतिछरी दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणि गुणनिका जन्मजलधौ निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति त्वदन्यपाणिभ्याम् अभयवरदो देवदगण त्वमेका नैवासि प्रकटितवराभीत्यपिनया भयात्रातुं धातुं फलमपि च वाञ्छा समतिकम् शरण्ये लोकानां तव हि चरणावेव निपुणौ हरिस्त्वामाराध्य प्रणतजनसौभाग्यजननीं पुरानारी भूत्वा पुररिपुमपि क्षोभमनयत् स्मरोऽपि त्वां नत्वा रतिनयनलेह्येन वपुषा मुनीनामप्यन्त प्रपवदिः मोहाय महताम् धनुः पौष्पं मौर्वी मधुकरमयी पञ्चविशिखा वसन्तः सामन्तो मलयमरुदायोधनरथ तदाप्येकः सर्वं हिमगिरिसुते कामपि कृपाम् अपाङ्गाते लब्ध्वा जगदिदमनङ्गो विजयते क्वणत्काञ्जीदामा करिकळभकुम्भस्तननता परिक्षीणा मध्ये परिणतशरच्चन्द्रवदना धनुर्बाणान् पाशं सृणिमपि ददाना करतलै पुरस्तादास्ताम्ना पुरमतिदुराहो पुरुषिका. Let's do the three chanting of Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshal Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shri Matre Namah. May her blessings be with you all.